The Ohio Water Polo Referees Association, fostering the development of water polo officials.
Okay, welcome everyone. My name's Chad Packer. I'm the supervisor of officials for the Ohio Water Polo Referees Association. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about how to work the table today. Agenda, super quick. We'll talk about some rules to remember, how we're going to fill out a score sheet, how to run a game clock, how to run a shot clock, what are some things that the table needs to do, and if we're in person, we would do practice and some wrap-up questions, but we're just going to run through those first 5 things today. Some simple rules to remember. Don't panic. Really. Referees are really nice people. Most of us, you can see. Don't be afraid to ask us questions. Try and be thinking about making, some eye contact with the referees. Oftentimes, we'll be looking at you to see if you're ready. We might give you a real quick thumbs up or something like that. Or, kind of do a circle thing with our hand to say reset the shot clock. Or we might push down like on a plunger with our thumbs to communicate to you guys to start the clock. We are working as a team, right? There are 3 to 4 people at the table, 2 referees on the game, sometimes maybe even 2 goal judges. So we really are all working as a team. Make sure you're paying attention to the game. Things can happen super duper quickly. So make sure that you're kind of paying attention to that, not getting distracted by cell phones or people asking you questions or whatever. If someone wants to lean over and ask you guys a question like a fan does, you can just either kind of tell us or you can just kind of say, hey, I'll get your question at the break or something like that. But remember, you are a part of the officiating team. This is kind of a thing. Try not to cheer too much. I understand that if you're rooting for XYZ high school and they score a goal and it was your daughter who did it or your son who made the big block, you want to feel that pride and joy. But also remember that there's somebody on the other side who might be watching you. And if the clock goes sideways against their team purely by accident or something goes wrong with the score sheet, that cheering can kind of maybe come into play there. So appreciate you guys are parents. I'm a parent myself. Appreciate that you want to cheer for people. But just kind of try and temper that as best you can. And rule number 1 again, don't panic. Everything can be fixed. It's not a big deal. Everything can be fixed. Okay, so how to fill out a score sheet here. I'm going to bring this guy up here. This is a fairly standard score sheet. There's 2 different kinds. This is the one that I prefer, where the progress of the game down here, that's kind of what happens place by place. This is the most important part of a score sheet, all this progress of the game, everything. I'm rolling my mouse over here. This is what happens as it goes, okay? The game summary does need to be filled out in real time. There are sometimes folks who just want to do this, and then at the end of the quarter here, which is kind of what these marks denote, I'm just going to go up and fix it then. The problem there is that if a player has received 3 exclusions or 3 personal fouls, the technical term for it, and you don't realize it until the end of the quarter, that player has probably played, not probably, that player has played when he or she shouldn't have. So that's why these need to be filled up and down, up and down. I'm going to talk in better detail about that right now. Okay, so how to fill out the game summary part. This is the stuff up at the top, right? After someone scores a goal, you put a hash mark in that quarter, right? There's a vertical line there. Going back to these guys, right? These are goals by quarter right here, 2nd quarter, 3rd quarter, 4th quarter. And then when a player commits a personal foul, which could be an exclusion or a penalty, right? E is going to be exclusion, P is going to be penalty. Both of those, the penalty is that thing that we take at the 5-meter mark where it almost looks like a penalty shot in soccer. The first penalty foul goes here. Okay, another kind of important mark here is that when it is the person's first exclusion or penalty, it goes here. The 1 does not indicate the first exclusion or penalty foul. The 1 indicates the quarter in which it happened, right? So this would be an exclusion in the first, an exclusion in the third, and a penalty in the second. Okay, so that's how that goes, and then hash marks over here. How to fill out the progress of the game. Again, I probably, in thinking about it, I should have flipped those, but we'll talk about that now. So Great detail here, right? Time, when it happened, which team it happened to, white or dark, who was the player who did it, and what they did, okay, or he or she did. So at 6:36, 3 white was excluded. At the time, we do not update the goals. Do not update the goals when there are personal fouls. It actually helps make you find things, or it makes it easier to find things, but also it's just extra writing because this exclusion didn't change the score of the game. So that's why we don't really update it, right? At 6:32, 4 dark scored a goal on the 6-on-5. Now this says GE for goal extra. You can actually just put G. You don't have to put goal extra. That's getting a little bit more in detail, but if you're able to, put goal extra, but if you're not, just put GE. And that changed the score. 4 dark changed the score now. 0 for white, 1 for dark. 6 minutes, 12 dark scored a goal. It's going to be a natural goal. And the score was now 0-2. At 5:40, 14 white was excluded. At 5:12, 5 white scored a goal, which made 1-2. Now, remember, every time we do this exclusion here, 6:36, 3 white excluded in the first quarter. This is the first quarter. 3 white excluded. 6:36, 3 white exclusion. Go right up here. Find 3 white. Bring it across. E1 because it happened in the first quarter. Now noticing you're not putting E1s here because we know it's in the first quarter because it's denoted by everything above that hash mark. You could just color this in. You don't have to do those little hash marks. It's just how I did it on the computer. So that's how we're keeping the progress of the game. Okay, always work left to right. That's what I always tell people. Work left to right. Time, team, number, what they did. Okay, so the most important thing is the time of the event. We can go back and get everything. At the end of the quarter, you could say, what number was excluded at the very beginning? I don't know. Was it, and now I'm playing the referee's part. I don't know. Was it maybe right at the beginning of the quarter? Yeah. Oh, that was 3. You could just go in and put the 3 up here, and then you could fix it, right? If you were to say, what time was 3 white excluded? I'm not going to have any idea as a referee. I could probably guess, but I'm not going to be able to tell you it's 6:36. Now, why is it important that it's 6:36? Because we know exclusions are 20 seconds long. So that means at 6:16, 3 white, if no goal has been scored or no turnover, he's now eligible to return at 6:16. Not about 6:36, 6:37. It was about 6:40. No, it's for 20 seconds. So that's why time is really, really important. When you hear the whistle, look at the clock, right? So you hear this tweet, tweet, something kind of unique, or tweet. That's that's a new whistle. Look up at the clock. Grab that time straight away. Number, color, the remark, what they did. And only update when the goals are scored. I think I told you that because this exclusion doesn't change the score of the game. So that's kind of where we are there. Another kind of general tip here is, let me go back. See how these are starting to stagger, right? It makes it real easy at the end of the quarter to find them because I'm going to talk about some triangulation things here in a second. But in the first quarter, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 personal fouls. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 goals. There was 1 timeout. You can find it straight away. So that's why I always try and encourage folks to stagger the remarks. Okay. Real quick. I'm going to zip through this fairly quickly here. This is another score sheet that you might see. Again, time, 3 white. You would put a W or a B or a D. It's probably easier just to put blue, just because it's just easier. But I wouldn't. I said it out loud. I don't know that I would necessarily. Let's say it's white versus red. I wouldn't put an R there, right? So maybe I do have over here in the notes. So maybe as I'm going through this live time, maybe dark is the better thing to put, right? So time, cap number, team, again, stagger, and then the goals. So this is another sheet that you might see. At the end of the quarter, there is a place, probably get back to it, there is a place on the sheet where you can, it's going to be down in the right-hand corner, put the total number of goals scored for each team, right? So at the end of the first quarter, 3 scored white, dark scored, white scored 3, dark scored 3. At the end of the second quarter, white scored 5 more, dark scored 3 more. So if you were to add these two together at half, it should be 8-6. This is not a running score. We keep the running score in the progress of the game. Okay. Here it is right here. So we know that here, you can't see it, but it would be 3-3. So over here, it's 3-3. Over here, remember I said it was 8-6? 3 plus 5 is 8. 3 plus 3 is 6. It should be 8-6. So there's this triangulation thing happening here, right? You could also add up goals, or you could go 1, 2, 3. 3. 1, 2, 3. 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3, 3. I always recommend doing it that way. 1, 2, 3 goals scored, 3. 1, 2, 3 goals scored, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goals scored, 5. 1, 2, 3 goals scored, 3. If you rely upon this and just do some mathematics, right, 8 minus 3 equals 5, you might miss a goal up here. And it's very important to note those goals up here, okay? The other thing you want to probably do at the end of a quarter is to think about how many personal fouls and kind of check these if you have time, right? There's 2 minutes, generally 2 minutes between the first and the second and the third and the fourth, and generally 5 minutes at half if we're playing an official high school game. So you have some time to do that. Not a ton of downtime here, right? But you just try and stay active. 1, 2, 3 exclusions, E1, E2, I'm sorry, the second one, and a third one. Okay, I've got those 3, and then penalty foul. So I should have 2 P1s up here somewhere. Okay, there's one, and there's one. Good, I'm good. So again, continue to just kind of triangulate there. So a few things to keep in mind when you are the scorekeeper, right? You have to keep up with everything in both the progress of the game and the game summary. We talked about going up, down, up, down, up, down. We talked about 3 personal fouls already. We talked about, I'm going to go back though, but we talked about, remember, the first personal foul goes here. I know it's their first personal foul because it's in the first column. Remember, P1, there's a penalty in the first. E3 is this person's first personal foul because it's in the first column, but it didn't happen until the third quarter. That's kind of what everything up there means. So you can kind of take a look at that and go from there. So that is the how to keep the score sheet. So let's just kind of conclude this with this. All right, you guys are an invaluable part of the game. The last bullet point, a good table makes the referee's job significantly easier. When we don't have to worry about an incorrect shot clock reset, when there's an exclusion, the exclusion time starts immediately. When we're working together, right? Sometimes you'll get table workers that kind of, quite honestly, sometimes talk down to the referees. Like, I don't do that. Don't do that because now everybody's getting on the defensive, right? Just like we coach our referees. Don't talk down to the table, right? Because you guys are our best friends out there. So I really appreciate you guys volunteering to do this. It is an integral part of the team. I love seeing the same parents on the sidelines all the time and just checking in with them. And, you get the freshman or sophomore parents to kind of jump in. And by the time they're seniors, we kind of get to know your kids. We really, really appreciate what you guys do. And certainly appreciate you taking some time to look at this video here. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me personally, or you which would be through the email that's on our website, but I can give it to you. It's OWPRAORG@gmail.com. So OWPRA.org@gmail.com. Be happy to respond to you. If you would like me to come and train some of your parents or train some other folks, or to show up early and kind of walk you guys through some things, I'd be happy to do it. I guess that's all I got. If you have feedback for me on how to make this better or other things I can do, always willing to accept that stuff. So until I see you on the sidelines, have a good day.